Excellencies, I now invite Her Excellency Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, to present the 2026 Financing for Sustainable Development Report on the basis of document E/FFDF/2026/2. Deputy Secretary General, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, Ministers, dear colleagues. 9 months after the severe commitment, the question facing the Forum is whether what was agreed is being delivered. The report I'm presenting this morning is our first real response. The report has been prepared across the entire United Nations family, together with the Bretton Woods institutions, OECD, several multilateral development banks, and other international financial institutions. As the Secretary-General indicated earlier, the shockwaves of instability are contaminating development prospects. This report shows precisely how and precisely where. 2 themes run through its findings. The first is a finance squeeze that sees the walls closing in on the world's poorest and most vulnerable countries from every direction at once. Falling aid, rising borrowing costs, structurally low tax revenue, and private investment that falls far short of the scale that the moment demands. In 2024, debt service burdens in developing countries and small island developing states reached their highest level in 20 years, while more than 70 developing countries are still collecting tax revenue below the 15% of GDP threshold set in Seville. Official development assistance fell 6.1% that same year, and the latest figures reveal a staggering drop of 23.1% in 2025 to $174.3 billion. The second theme is the gradual fragmentation of the global economy, as economic and financial decisions, including those governing trade and investment, are increasingly driven by geopolitical winds. The conflict in the Middle East is compounding the strain. We have all watched as the situation has put downward pressure on developing country currencies, upward pressure on borrowing costs, and tightened fiscal space at exactly the moment more of it is needed. This is the diagnosis the report offers. But it also offers a path forward, setting out 5 priorities for the year ahead. The first is to scale up the financing and investment needed to close the gaps, starting with the actions already agreed in Seville. The second is to focus policies and financial flows where they deliver most for sustainable development, aligned to each country's own priorities. The report is clear that this is a test for private capital mobilization in particular. The third is to invest in resilience, because shocks are arriving more frequently than our systems were built to absorb. The Seville commitment contains a long list of capacity-building measures that need to move from paper to practice with urgency. The fourth is to strengthen the institutions and the cooperation that hold this system together, connecting national resilience to regional and global support and ensuring that external financing lines back up behind country-owned strategies rather than around them. The fifth and final priority the report puts forward is to keep investing in multilateralism itself, because a predictable, rules-based system is ultimately what developing countries' prospects rest on and what they can build on. There is a reason for encouragement within these findings. The 130 initiatives of the Seville Platform for Action are already underway, acting on 115 and 280 of the actions in the commitment, and more than 3/4 of those initiatives are reporting real implementation progress. That is the head start most reforms of this scale never receive, and it is the clearest signal that what was agreed last July is not sitting on a shelf, but moving forward across every region and every dimension of the agenda. The report is also clear-eyed about the limits. The current environment will not allow us to move on every front at once, and some of the most consequential reforms require the kind of multilateral agreement that is harder to reach today than it was even a year ago. That is the reality of this forum, and this is what we have to work with, and it is the reality that makes the days ahead matter so much. This is where momentum is kept or lost, where member states, international financial institutions, and the wider development finance community turn the implementation of Seville from a communique to a record. Ladies and gentlemen, Sevilla kindle a flame that we must keep alive. The work ahead of us will take political will, and it will take stamina. Division is loud right now. Cooperation has to be louder. May these next days be worthy of what was agreed in Sevilla and of the people who are counting on us to deliver. I wish you all a very productive Financing for Development Forum. Thank you.